celebrating the power of possibility.
I'm Brent Hubbs, and I believe anything is possible.
I hear you on game day.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, Brent, man, you do a fabulous job. First of all, you are crisp and informative. When they come to you on the sideline, I don't know if you got 5 seconds, 7 seconds, 10 seconds, but I mean, it's just, and you sound great, man.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, it's easy to sound better when you're passionate about doing something. I'm passionate about being a part of that broadcast in the Vault Network. I grew up listening to it on the radio. My grandfather, who was my hero as a kid, I mean, I'm in tow. I mean, Dad and Granddad, I mean, we're at the lake, we're fishing, we were in tow, and that one resonated with him. When I said, hey, I'm on the Vault Network. Whoa. He had no idea what Volquest was or the computer or any of that other stuff. But wait a minute, you're on the Vault Network?
You mean the one where they go, natural gas?
Yes. Right? You know, I mean, and so, I mean, it's a real sense of pride. And those guys, Steve Early and Bob Kessling, those guys, you know, continue to give me opportunities, you know, and you just try to run with them. And, you know, I wake up some days and it's like, you know, you walk to the stadium on a cool, crisp fall morning and you're the first one in there and it's the calm before the storm. That big cathedral's quiet, but you know it's going to become its own city in a few hours. Are you kidding me? I get to do that? I mean, I do. The guy who went to college to be a producer, who was told you can't be on the radio because your voice wasn't good enough. Wait a minute, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to talk about what I'm seeing in the game and give observations to fans listening out there around the world? Me? I mean, how did I fall into this?
How did you feel about people saying that about your voice?
They were right. I mean,
I don't know that I've ever, and I've interviewed a lot of people. I don't know that I've ever interviewed anybody that took that kind of feedback constructively enough to just literally go, no, they were right.
Yeah. Listen, I'm from Corryton, Tennessee, okay, in East Tennessee. I'm not Midwestern. I don't have a Midwestern voice.
That's what I like about it,
There are words I have to be careful with. But I had so much help along the way that nobody said, you're awful. They all said, you need some work. Let's help you. So Mr. Dick, God rest his soul, never came to me and said, you'll never be on my air, you're not good enough. He said, let me help you. We're going to bring in this voice coach. Bobby Denton said, hey, you can't be on right now, but let's get you to where you can be. So there was nobody killed the dream. The possibility, as you like to say, remained. John Wilkerson, we did Saturday Sports Talk. John Wilkerson and I did it. And John would come in on Saturday and he'd go, hey, you got the show today. I'm the co-host, you're the host. You take it in and out of breaks. Learn, grow. We get done with the show and he'd say, hey, you did a good job with this, or we need to work on this, here's some things to think about, that type of thing. I mean, people poured into me, Hal.
I had the same experience. I mean, that culture that we had there was amazing. When you go back and look at it. Now, day in and day out, you're one of the best in the business at what you do. Give us an update on what you're doing right now, what we can expect. Tell me more.
Fascinating how the business has changed in terms of what we do. When I first started the website, we wrote. It was about writing. I wasn't a very good writer. I kind of taught myself along the way to write and leaned on resources. Now we're evolved, we're into podcasting, we're into video casting. We're multimedia, we're on a multimedia platform. We have a message board community that's like a family. People that hurt when somebody's hurting. You know, people looking on vacation for a restaurant recommendation. We're going to talk about it. Then we're going to talk good and bad about how the game went and how things are going with the team. It's its own little family and its own little community, which is awesome. It's like, it's a bar that never closes. Everybody just sends around and talks UT sports. So we've got that. I've got the Vol Network stuff that I'm doing. Still do some radio hits along the way. And I've got a staff now, gosh, of 5 people. Started out as just me. We're in a staff of 5 now. And it's fun. I mean, you know, it's...
How's the team looking?
They're good. They're good. I mean, Coach Heupel's been awesome. Great to work with. And he's brought a passion back. He's brought there's an entertainment value to the way they play. You go to the stadium and you think, man, they can beat anybody. It's been a while since you feel that way. And that's a great feeling to know, hey, I'm going to go into the stadium. They got a chance to beat somebody. And I may get to be in that moment. I may get to help call that moment and create that historical point in time for whatever fan is out there listening and watching. And that's just an awesome feeling.
Well, you've done a fantastic job, and I just want to give you your flowers while you were here, because you do represent possibility. Because I remember when we were both trying to grow, and you didn't let go, you didn't give up, and now you're one of the greatest in our business.
Thank you, sir. That's very kind of you to say. I appreciate that. I'm blessed every day, and there's enough things in your life along the way to remind you that you count every blessing that you got. And as somebody said, are you asking for a blessing, or are you going to be a blessing? And try to be a blessing, because to have the career that I've had is not anything I ever envisioned when I stepped foot on the campus at the University of Tennessee in 1992. Never dreamed it would be where it's at right now. So I count my blessings every day.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
They admitted me, gave me a lot of antibiotics for the flu, and the long story of it is I had an aneurysm in my aortic root. I had a leaky heart valve and an aneurysm, and I was a literal walking time bomb.
So you've had some health challenges.
Yeah, I've had a lot. I've had 15 surgeries.
Really?
I've had 3 open heart surgeries.
What happened?
I was 20. The first open heart surgery I was 4. I was born with a condition. The abbreviated term is called pectus. Basically, I didn't have a sternum, and my chest cavity in the front was inward. When I laid down flat, you could put about half a cup of water in my chest. It puddled up like a pond. So they went in and took a rib and made me a sternum, basically, when I was 4. Didn't think anything about it, you know. The result was you can't play football because you can't take a hit to your chest. Lived on, rolled on in life. This was in 1978.
Did you get picked on at all?
No.
Was there any of that?
No.
Okay.
I aligned myself with all the cool kids.
Gotcha.
I liked sports. I could talk sports, so the athletic guys were my buddies, and so I was smart enough to make sure that happened. Fast forward, I'm 27. I play basketball on Wednesday nights at church, and I had the flu. I didn't feel good. I was supposed to play ball. I had to cancel. Guys, I can't. I'm too sick, which is, normally I'd fight through it or whatever, but I felt awful. I went to the doctor the next day on a Thursday afternoon, my regular doctor. We had the flu, the whole 9 yards. And I said, this feels different. My back's killing me. Like, this is like bad flu. So, well, your lungs are pretty clear, but we'll take a chest x-ray. And so he takes a chest x-ray, and he comes back in the room, and I'll never forget the look in his eyes. His eyes were big, white, And I said, what's the matter? And he said, come here. And he showed me the chest x-ray. And how the chest x-ray was white. You could see my ribs, but where my heart was just this big blob of white. I mean, it covered almost the whole chest cavity. And he said, go home, I'm calling your wife, don't do anything the rest of the day.
Oh.
Now, I had just seen John Q at the movie theater.
Right.
The day before, 2 days before. So I'm like, all right, what do we got going on here? And he called me and goes, I've got an appointment for you in the morning at 8 o'clock at the cardiologist. And I went to have an echo. I did the echo, and the tech's not supposed to tell you anything. I wore him out. My reporter instincts was to ask a lot of questions. What do you see? What's going on? Do I need a transplant? What are we doing? And finally, he looked at me, bless his heart. I think his name was Michael. He said, listen, I can't tell you anything, but I'll tell you this. You're not going home today. So I went and saw the doctor in the office and went straight across the street to UT Medical. They admitted me, gave me a lot of antibiotics for the flu. And the long story of it is I had an aneurysm in my aortic root. I had a leaky heart valve and an aneurysm, and I was a literal walking time bomb. It was about 9 centimeters in diameter, which is unheard of. I mean, at any point it would have ruptured and bled out. I had no idea I had it. So we go in, I get an artificial valve. They put in a synthetic, what they call a synthetic root, which is a fake, artery coming out of the top. And we do some research afterwards to try to figure out what causes this and what's going on. And I was diagnosed with a connective tissue disorder called Loeys-Dietz. It's Marfan on crack, if you will. It's Marfan syndrome, but the ruptures happen at smaller sizes and all those types of things. So we've been monitoring it for years. And 8 years ago, we get the lab or the test results back, the scan results, and I have an aneurysm that had developed in my aortic arch, which is above where the original aneurysm was that was replaced. And the arch has 3 vessels coming off of it: the carotid, the subclavian to the right side, and to the left side. It's the 3 major vessels come off the arch. And they're going to monitor it closely, but they tell me I'm going to have it replaced. So I go to my surgeon, who did the one here in Knoxville, and I said, all right, what's the deal with this one? He goes, don't look at me. And I said, what? He goes, I ain't doing that procedure. I don't do that. I said, well, who does it? So you got 2 options. You can go to Houston or you can go to the Cleveland Clinic. Those are the only 2 doctors in the country that do the procedure.
Wow.
Okay, so we go to Cleveland because it's closer, and the doctor was a little younger, because I'm thinking, I might have to have this when I'm 50, right? We're just monitoring it, whatever. And we go to the Cleveland Clinic, meet the doctor up there. Lars Sevenson is his name, South African. Got the bedside manner of that coffee table over there. Right. I mean, he's just one of those.
That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And he says, hey, I think it's probably too risky to do it. Let's just monitor. It's probably better off just to monitor it. We'll see how we go. Okay, that was in July. I had scans again in December, January. Get a call from a cardiologist in town, and says, hey, you got to get on the launch pad. We got to go. I said, what? He goes, it's grown.
So you're at the Cleveland Clinic. You got Lars.
Yeah.
He's looking at you. He's one of 2 that can do this surgery. And he says, what?
We're going to monitor it, go home, we're going to do scans, come back and see me in a year. All right. We go home, do scans in January. My local cardiologist calls me and says, we got a problem. It's grown dramatically. You're going to have to do something. That's why I got signing day coming up. We're supposed to go on a ski trip. Can I do both of those before I go have this procedure done? Because now in my mind, we're scheduling this one. The first one was emergency. This one, we're on a schedule, right? And he said, well, you probably get through signing day. I don't think you had to go snow skiing. He goes, but he was on vacation. He goes, I'm going to read your scans again. I'll call you back. I said, okay. He calls me back a few hours later. He says, I'm seeing some shredding in the arch. I'm already starting to see some tearing. And I'm like, well, are we going to rupture? And he's like, no, but you're starting to leak. It's starting to tear. We need to get going on this. I didn't tell my wife that part of the story, by the way. So I kept that to myself, that I'm walking around with my aortic arch is starting to leak and it's shredding a little bit.
Are you feeling any kind of sensation?
No, the scariest part, Hal, is you lay down at night knowing that and you're afraid to go to sleep because you weren't sure you're going to wake up. For about 10 days, I had this fear of laying in bed going, I'm not sure I'm going to wake up in the morning. And I called the Cleveland Clinic. I said, we've got to speed this up as fast, get up there as fast as we can because I can't do this. I can't live this way. So we bump it up ahead of signing day. And my wife and I drive up there February, I think it was February 2nd, I think we drove up there. Hardest day, one of the hardest days of your life, because the first time I had it done, it was fast and there were no kids. We were young, 27, we hadn't had kids yet. This time I had 2 children. And to stand in your house on a Sunday morning and tell your kids goodbye, and you're already emotional because you hadn't slept for about 4 days because you know you're leaking and you're not sure how this thing's gonna go, and the doctor's giving you, Lars is giving you all the parameters of possibility of stroke and all these things that could happen because they're detaching the 3 biggest arteries in your body outside of the one coming out of the heart. I mean, you're going to your brain, you're going to what controls your right and left side, upper body. And so my wife, man, she's the rock. She's one of those like, all right, let's go do this. We're gonna be fine, let's go do this. It's all good. Everybody else, me, I'm like, I'm a wreck, you know. So I tell my kids goodbye and I tell my mother-in-law to take them out of the house. I've told my goodbyes, I'm not crying. I've done what I'm supposed to do. I've been a good dad, right? I'm the tough guy. Get them out of the house because they don't need to see anymore. And I'm standing there with my brother-in-law and I looked at him, I said, I can't do this, man. I can't get in the car and go do this. And he gave me a big hug and he said, you're good. I'll see you in 10 days. Go get in the car. Got in the car, we got on 75, and my wife grabbed my hand. She goes, you're good, let's go. I was home 13 days later, walked 2 miles. Here I am.
Man, God is good, isn't he?
Again,
to surround you.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm seeing this trend line in your life where at the point of need, somebody shows up that gives you exactly what you need to get you from here to here.
Yeah. And so the result is you're a better dad because you're not going to miss anything. So my son played high school football. I was at every game, and then I was at every UT game. By any means possible. Again, people changed the football schedule, play a game on Thursday night so dad can go wherever. People gave me rides so I could see it all. So it changed my perspective. The first one was, hey, this is a bump, we're ready, we'll go. Let's go back, I got my career, I gotta go. The second one was hard. One, it was scarier, and you had the kids. And so I'm gonna be a better dad. You know, let's be a good dad. Let's be around. So maybe we don't do every radio show that calls, right? Maybe we don't go to every basketball game. Let your staff do some stuff. And so it was the Lord's way of kind of slapping me around a little bit of, hey, have a little perspective, you know, figure out where you are, where your boundaries are, where you're supposed to be, you know, that type of thing. So that was hard, you know. But I mean, I've had a bunch of them, but that was by far the toughest because of the kid factor.
Man.
The rest of them were just, it was me, you know what I mean? It was, you know, but I mean, how I had a volleyball stand fall on my foot when I was 9 that they thought they were going to have to amputate my foot. My mom was there every day. My dad would work and come straight to the hospital. I was in the hospital 5 weeks. My dad came every day after work, sat with me for hours, whatever. I mean, again, it's relationships. It's
Are you folks still alive?
My dad is deceased. He died of pancreatic cancer. My mom and dad got a divorce a year after my first heart surgery. Second hardest thing I've ever gone through. Because that is an adult divorce not supposed to happen. They've been married So Dad and I had kind of a rocky relationship for a while after that, but we were in a great place when he passed. And I had the best childhood with my parents. I mean, the best. I know people say that. My dad was a free spirit, fun-loving, let you try anything. Mom was the one who kind of kept us all from going all those types of things. But I mean, it was, you know, it was the best. I mean, family for us was everything, everything. I was at my grandparents' all the time. You know, we were on vacation. We go on vacation. There's 16 of us go. The whole family, aunts, uncles, everybody's going on vacation. You know, I have a sister, extremely close to them. I mean, family's huge. I mean, it's vital.
Well, I'm glad you're part of several families. First of all, I'm glad that we got to know each other as part of that whole Dick Broadcasting family. I'm glad you're part of the family of Volquest. I'm glad you're part of the Vol Network family, but I'm probably even more glad you're part of the family of God.
Amen.
Yeah, you're
blessed.
a good man.
I'm blessed. I am blessed. Beyond anything I will ever deserve, I am blessed. And I'm thankful that I recognize that and understand that.
Well, they can't sideline the sideline. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Hal. Appreciate it.